Welcome to Stir Crazy Sailing and Adventures. I'm Dennis. I left a career I enjoyed to pursue the activities that I love, with the aim of single-handing a sailboat from Lake Michigan to the Caribbean. That's nuts. I expect some success.
It's just beautiful.
And some failure along the way, but that's part of the adventure. I'll also share with you how I try to stay healthy and fit as I go. Having you along will make this trip even more fun. Thanks for joining me.
We're letting Sparky do the driving right now and getting us to about 6 knots. It's a wonderful, beautiful day on Lake Michigan off the coast of Manistee, sort of. We went up to Portage Point Inn in Onekama. Had a great time up there. Beautiful people, beautiful place. And making our way on a leisurely sail back to Manistee. We had great weather. Sailing is always more fun when you've got good wind, of course. We had almost too much wind a couple of times, which really is fun sailing. I mean, to be able to just relax and run with the wind and sit back and have soft drinks and snacks is great. But when sailing becomes challenging, it really is fun. I mean, if you've got good crew and good friends, it becomes a team sport at that stage of the game, and you're really experiencing something to be shared and something to be cherished. Sailing is a great leisurely activity, but when it's not, it's pretty stimulating, actually.
And I had no idea then that those would be famous last words, because I would go out for some heavy weather sailing. I would foul my furling line on my self-tailing winch. I wouldn't pay attention to my leeward Genoa line that would go overboard, and when I started the motor, it would foul on my drive shaft and my prop. I was in trouble. It was heavy weather, and I needed to get out of the wind to the leeward side of the break wall so I could get beneath the boat and I could try to cut free the line. But the waves were big, the wind was strong, and my anchor wasn't holding, so I had to put out a distress call to the Coast Guard. Fortunately, the Coast Guard has a base right in Manistee. They were able to put out a crew, get out and around the break wall. They got down to me and threw out a line that I could get on my bow. I had to cut free my anchor at that stage of the game, but they retrieved it for me later because I had a buoy on it, because they're good folks. And I have to apologize here too, U.S. Coast Guard, that I only have Navy graphics in this software. My apologies. But they were great. They got me back into safe harbor. They brought my boat up alongside theirs at that point, and that's when they were kind enough to offer to take me all the way back to the marina. That was above and beyond the call of duty. I'm grateful to the Coast Guard for what they did that day and what they do every day.
This is not the way you want to start a trip.
Sail lines and propellers don't mix. When they do, you've got to go below the water to straighten out problems that you wish you could have avoided. We'll see how bad it is. Line gets cut. Something is flexing, it's going bump. So I think it's tension being released on either the drive shaft or the mechanism that holds it in place. That worked well. I cut the piece that was the most tight around the prop, so it was the farthest back. It started to unwind going forward. At the moment, nothing looks like it's mechanically damaged, physically wrong, but I'll get the rope off there and then try to get a better look at whether or not there's any damage to the prop, or the prop was forced off, or there's a shear pin that's broken or anything like that. Going in for dive number 2. Dive 1 was for assessment and cutting away as much as I could before mild hypothermia set in. Took about an hour and change off and warmed up. And now I'll head back down, see if I can cut the rest loose and watch to see if the prop turns on an even plane or not. If not, then the shaft has been bent. I'll also assess what the nut looks like on the back of the prop, as well as the support structure for the prop. So we'll see. I looked at the nut, it looks good. I looked at the shaft support, that looks good. Got the last of the line off, that looked bad. And I'm gonna go down one last time just to check the integrity of the shaft support and the hull of the boat. But the nut on the back of the prop looks really good, so I'm happy about that. I just had the transmission shifted into neutral, turned the prop back and forth, it turned, which is great. Check, there are 2 nuts holding on the prop, both are firm, and I am one relieved man. I'd like to say I'm a happy man, I'm just a relieved man, because this is ridiculous and unnecessary, and it comes from bad sailing. Honestly, it was just bad form, not paying attention, getting caught up with one problem, the roller furling line doubling over into the winch, and maybe a little bit too much wind, and not watching the leeward line, and that's when it got fouled on the prop. An hour in the water, one minor case of hypothermia, and sharp knife later, might be able to sail in a bit. A windlass that's tore apart is not a good sign before leaving on a long journey, but my mishap with my rope around my prop shaft required an emergency anchoring, and it abused the windlass, which is not meant to take up as much tension as quickly as I wanted it to, or at all. But the circumstances were such where the windlass took a beating, the clutch on it took a beating, so I've got to do a little bit of rebuild and maintenance work today before I even take off. The windlass was slipping up and down, so with a little bit of maintenance, we'll see if I've overcome those issues. Awesome. I love it when a plan comes together. Finally, getting ready to leave. I'll leave under power. I've got wind on my nose going to the north, and see how far I get tonight. And given my luck lately with the line getting caught in my prop shaft, and then also me having to do maintenance on my windlass, maybe a little motor sail is a good way for me to start out, instead of me going up on deck and dealing with lines or anything else that's a little bit risky. So let's get underway here. Now, in my defense for getting my line fouled on my prop shaft, the best sailor I know told me it's happened to him twice. So there is a silver lining here, and that is that I needed to learn a difficult lesson. And very fortunately for me, I learned that lesson in a very convenient spot. And that's a class I don't ever want to pay tuition for ever again.
Okay, underway. Good weather. The boat seems to be in good shape, and I've got a schedule based on the weather window that I'm going to try to keep, so that's why I'm motoring into the wind tonight, see if I can make some way before I get good southerlies in the next couple of days.
And of course, I'll be taking the slowest form of transportation on the least direct route from West Michigan to the Erie Canal, up to Leland, and then over to Beaver Island, through the Mackinac Straits to Sheboygan, and then down through Lake Huron to the St. Clair River, Lake St. Clair, and the Detroit River before I make my way across Windy Lake Erie to Port Colborne, Ontario, up through the Welland Canal to St. Catharines, and then over to Oswego, New York. But today, I'm just going up to Leland. And I had no idea what luck would come my way there.
And off in the distance, Arcadia Bluffs Golf Course, which I find interesting that Arcadia Mountain Bike Trail is so close to Arcadia Bluffs, because I gave up golf so I could continue to mountain bike. I injure myself less frequently mountain biking than I did playing golf. But it's a beautiful place. And even if you don't want to pay the fee to play golf there, which I know is high, I don't even know what it is, you can buy lunch there and enjoy a beautiful view. The coastline is gorgeous. Serious dunes ahead as we approach the Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore and the Manitou Islands. Shooting for Leland today, and then Beaver Island the next day, so that I've got favorable winds going through the Mackinac Straits, under the Mackinac Bridge and past Mackinac Island. It's pretty. I've spoken with some folks recently going from port to port as part of the Great Loop, primarily power boats, and loving what they're finding in the Great Lakes. I ask every one of them, some of them from as far away as UK and Australia, whether or not the expectations have been met, and of course all of them say that their expectations have been exceeded. So while there are lots of beautiful places all around the country, and I'm going to see plenty of them, for those of you who have not yet made it to the Great Lakes, get here. Enjoy the pristine beauty of the beaches. If you're into beaches, And walking around in the water and knowing that nothing is in the water that's going to hurt you. The Great Lakes really have wonderful, wonderful beaches for 3 months out of the year. Oh my God, it's beautiful. And of course, it should be deserted. I mean, I'm on an island. Still beautiful, but for a short window of time each year, it just seems as though the beaches can't be beat. Plenty of claims all around the world for the greatest beaches in the world. I get it. I'll just say that these beaches, for what they are and when they're available, should be in the running. That's all. I've not tried this yet. We'll see if this will work at all. Oh yeah. It's possible. Oh, this way I can keep my back loose and actually get out of bed in the morning. Oh. I'm so happy this is working. Oh. This will have to do between real workouts. I'm also glad you are along, because I'll enjoy speaking with you along the way and getting your feedback, and I hope some folks may be inspired, or at least have some questions answered about what sailing is like, and what single-hand sailing is like, and what self-sufficiency is like on the water. So hopefully this can be helpful, and I get to feel better about talking with you. Right now I'm not talking to myself. I'm talking to you, just like you were here. I'm only 2 days in. And behind me, the Cliffs of Insanity, or the Betsy Dunes Nature Sanctuary. Just north of Frankfurt. The landscape is beautiful.
And with a not so smooth landing in Leland, I have no idea at this stage that I am going to be met with a very pleasant surprise before I leave there. Well, before I left on my journey, I had an issue with a rope around the prop, and while coming into port yesterday and putting the engine in reverse, I felt a good amount of vibration, which is a bad sign. Hopefully I didn't bend the prop shaft, but there may be something else that's wrong down there as well, so I've got to go down and take a look, and I'll see if I can take you along successfully, see if there's an issue that can be resolved easily, or one that's a showstopper and is going to create a delay. It's a drag, but heading back into the water on a very foggy morning. The prop shaft looked good. The cutlass bearing didn't move around. The prop rotated. Everything seems normal down there. Seems good. Every indication is that it's the way it should be. That I avoided serious damage. It's not moving around. It's not sloppy. I'll take another look to see how the prop shaft getting cleaned up by that rope may have pushed out the prop shaft. Difficult to say. That's the only thing I can think of, is that it slid out a little bit. I hope not. We'll see. All good in the hood. Man, it looks good down there. I'm so happy. I don't know. Hopefully the vibration that I'm feeling is just because of a heightened sense of awareness, because of the issue, not because of anything that's really wrong. But it looks good down there. So the continuing saga of the wrapped rope. By luck today, maybe by divine intervention, I made a new friend, Tom, who is in the Leland Marina to do some work, and he's going to go down, take a look, and give me a second opinion on my prop shaft, prop condition, cutlass bearing, strut, all that kind of stuff. So I am grateful for the assistance of Tom. What's that?
It looks good.
So
you don't even have a smile on, on the keel. You
yeah.
don't even have a smile on either end.
Okay.
The little hairline.
Oh, I'm familiar. I'm familiar with people hitting stuff and there being a smile.
And the bottom of your keel's got zebra muscles to where you haven't been on bottom either.
That is a good man. Diver, cleans bottoms, gave me a great second opinion. My opinion becomes the second opinion on the condition of my prop and shaft. He says it's beautiful down there. Everything looks great. I'm so grateful and so lucky. I appreciate the divine intervention to have a diver walking through the parking lot on a day when I was uncertain about what the bottom of my boat looked like. And the reassurance that I got from him is worth so much. And he wouldn't take a penny. Good people out there. This journey is finally underway. Thanks for being part of the crew. Next week, Beaver Island. I get wind and I can really sail. Thumbs up if you're enjoying the journey, and subscribe if you plan on sticking around with the rest of the crew. See you next week.